Hello learners, Frosty the LLN guy here. In today's video we're going to tackle a very difficult and complex issue. What is literacy? So today we're attempting to address the question, what is literacy? Now whenever I talk about literacy with people, they come up with the same definition initially. They say, well, it's the ability to read and write. And then they might add, it's also the ability to use numbers. But there's a problem with this definition because if I was learning another language that wasn't English, I might be able to mimic the sounds or even the lettering or any of those things with the other language and still look like I know what I'm talking about when in fact I don't, and there's no meaning behind what I do. So after we get rid of that definition, people tend to fall back on the be able to function within society definition. So I can read a menu, or I could fill out a form for the government, or do my taxes. But even then, I think you can get away with not being literate and make those things work. A recent example I've had is a person trying to catch a bus who can't read a bus timetable. They will step onto each of the buses and ask the bus driver, does this go to Smith Street, for example? And the bus driver says no, they hop off. And then they get back on the next bus and ask the same question until one eventually says, yes, I'm stopping at Smith Street. And then they show up at around the same time each day and catch that same bus. So a little bit, you can get away with not being literate and still function within society. So that definition doesn't always work. So then the question would be, if we can get by without being literate, asking the bus driver where we're going to go or pointing to a menu to say that's what I want for dinner, then why bother being literate at all? Why bother learning any of those things? And the answer lies in some statistics. Now, they tend to suggest that people who are literate have far more employment opportunities and enjoy much better health. So really being literate gives you choices within your life, and that's reason enough. But the fact is that reading and writing and being numerate is only a small percentage of what it is to be literate in this day and age. We have so many different types of literacy now that it's actually hard to keep track. We have things like financial literacy, social literacy, computer literacy, and each of these things are going to be in different facets of your life. We actually now call them multiliteracies. Multiliteracies includes any sort of literacy that you come into contact with in your life. Everything from understanding how a computer works down to understanding how to take apart a car engine and put it back together is a part of multiliteracy. And the thing is that multiliteracy has entered every single workplace that we can think of now. Where in the past that you could just rely on the person who was standing next to you in order to get by, unskilled labor is starting to vanish. And this is because we've moved towards what's called Industry 4.0. Now, in the past, the other three industrial revolutions were things like steam power, communications through telephones and trains, and then automation through machines. Industry 4.0 is not the fact that you're using the machine anymore. You're using the iPad or the tablet that controls the machine. So your literacy now is not just the literacy that was required to fix and maintain the machine. Your literacy now is, can I use the app that the iPad or tablet has come with that controls the machine? Now, this is problematic for anybody who isn't very computer literate. And if we're saying that literacy is to be able to function within society in a meaningful way, then this is something that you would have to learn. But there is another facet to Industry 4.0 that has directly impacted our needs for multiliteracy, and that's called the gig economy. Now, any time that you've ordered an Uber or rated something or reviewed something online, you've engaged in this gig economy. The new idea that it's the opinion of other people that matter when we're talking about the quality of products. And reading these reviews and what people are actually saying as opposed to what they did say is another form of literacy that we're talking about here. So as you can see, the emergence of multiliteracies, Industry 4.0, and the gig economy have put all sorts of demands on our own literacy in order to function within society. But when we go to answer the question, what is literacy? Really what we're talking about is meaning making. So if you're able to generate meaning over the things that you're doing at work when you're using the iPad that controls the machine, then you'll be able to better understand what's required of your job in terms of literacy. And better yet, understand the things that are missing in your own literacy in order to fulfill your job. But it's worth remembering that you probably engage in a number of different literacies on your day-to-day or even week-to-week. I mean, at home with your family, as opposed to at work, as opposed to a sporting club or your friends at the pub, the literacies are going to be very different. Now, anybody coming from outside those groups into those groups for the first time is really going to struggle with the literacy demands and might not navigate it straight away. But sometimes having strong literacy in some areas can really help you develop the literacy quickly when other areas come up. So when we try to answer the question, what is literacy, we need to remember that it's ever changing and that demands can be different from place to place. Now, as we advance with more technology and better ways to communicate with each other, we learn new ways of communication and connection with others, which requires more literacy. So just remember, literacy is very fluid. As always, thanks for watching. Feel free to ask me any questions, and if you have a suggestion for me to cover something, please just let me know. I'm Frosty, the LLN guy.